the end of the world, and I know it, and I feel fine. Why? Because I'm tight with Christ. I'm tight with Christ. Are you tight with Christ? Do you have the blood of the Lamb on your doorpost? I sure hope you do. I sure hope you do. Get tight with Christ. He died on the cross for your sins. Why? Because you're a sinner. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows they're a sinner. Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and all fall short of the glory of God. That's the first step. Admit that you are a sinner. Guilty. Guilty. Guilty as charged. I ain't getting to heaven on my works. No, siree, Bob. No, siree, Bob. I got stories I could tell you. I'm not going to tell you my stories, but I'm a sinner in need of a Savior. Second step, you got to believe. You got to believe in who? Jesus Christ, the Son of God. John 3:16, the classic. You see these at baseball games. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He who believes in him is not condemned. You're not condemned. But he who does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. The opposite of true when it comes to salvation. You are guilty until proven innocent. You were born into this world with sin because we all came from the first Adam who sinned. But the second Adam, which is Christ, came to restore and to give us eternal life. So you are guilty until proven innocent. Jesus makes you innocent. Jesus' blood makes you righteous. And if you say and confess with your heart, you shall be saved. Romans 10:9-13, that if you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with the heart, right here, one believes. Oh, wait, I just missed my spot. With the mouth, the Lord, and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with the heart one believes unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. For the scripture says, whoever believes on him will not be put to shame, for there is no distinction between Jew and Greek. For the same Lord over all is rich to all who call upon the name of the Lord. That's Romans 10, 9-13. A, admit you're a sinner. B, believe in the finished work of the cross. C, confess. Confess these things, and you'll be on your way. Then you are a child of God. My name is Aaron, and I'm a child of God. That's it. That's all. Julie, you're a child of God. Stephen, you're a child of God. Carla, you're a child of God. That's it. That's all. Jason, you're a child of God. That's it. That's all. Clarinda, thanks for coming. You're a child of God. That's it. That's all. Carrie, you're a child of God. That's it. That's all. Robin, you're a child of God. That's it. That's all. Andrew, you're a child of God. That's it. That's all. Whatever you're dealing with, that's not who you are. It's what you're dealing with sin things. It's all right. God doesn't want you to come with perfection. He wants you to come as you are. So just be proud that you are a child of God and you are sitting in heavenly places. Evelyn, you're a child of God. That's it. That's all. So we have a fun live stream today. We've got Sister Carla with us, and she's made some slideshows, and that's why we're a little late getting started. We didn't know how to do the screen share. I guess she's got a new computer, or she updated her computer to Windows 11, like myself, who didn't want to update to Windows 11. But anyway, she's going to get on here, and I'm going to share it from my end, and we are going to get through it all. So we are looking at the soon rapture of the church. Yes, the rapture is a thing. We believe wholeheartedly that the rapture happens before the tribulation begins, or in other words, before Jacob's trouble begins. So we're going to discuss some things, and we're going to discuss a little bit about the Madrid and the earthquake in Turkey, and some connections with Pisces, and well, let's not delay any longer. Let's bring Carla on. And how you doing, Carla?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing? How are you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing great. And Carla's been really kind in the past, and she's always, referred the channel in the past, and she's made some cool slideshow videos. And she reached out this morning and sent me an email. She said, "Hey, Aaron, you should should put this stuff on. I'm like, well, why don't you just come on and tell us about what you've put together here? So I love that. So go ahead, Carla.
Yeah,
Why don't we
thank you.
get started? And I can actually show my screen. And
Yeah, thank you for having me, by the way.
yeah, thanks for coming on. And just so you know, everybody that's watching, I like having people on. There's been a bunch of live streams where I just let anybody come on, and you guys can share your stuff, and those have been really great blessings. And if there's anybody that has a channel or a platform, or if you know somebody and you want me to come on your channel, like, yeah, no problem. That sounds good to me. I'm always very available. So, and you can hop on my Discord to get a hold of me too, and I'm pretty reachable. So, yeah. With that said, let's get into the presentation. So, can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that. So,
Okay, and maybe
yeah,
I can make
I
our
have
faces
some
a bit smaller.
technical difficulties on my side. So,
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. So, yeah, so I reached out to Aaron because I thought this was quite an urgent findings. I just found it this morning. So I said, let me contact Aaron. And I'm like, oh my goodness, get this out to everybody. But, anyways, so I'll go through my presentation pretty much like I always do on my channel, which is Ecru Symphony. And so I have the rapture and the judgment signs and earthquake pattern of 7. So I'll have Aaron change my slides for me. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, no problem. That sounds great.
So in my last presentation, I found out that, so the lower right, you see that map of the eclipse that everybody's shown with the olive tav, and that's the 3 solar eclipse pathways. But I was just looking at stellarium, and then there's that little triangle that's in the center here. And then above that, Aaron, it has the constellation Triangulum. And I go, wow, that looks just like the center of the 3 eclipse paths. And I thought I superimposed it on there, and sure enough, it gleaned information on that. And that was in my last video. But in a likewise manner, I found something just like that this morning with the 7 earthquakes, the 7 forming the number 7 over Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw last night on Aaron's live stream, yeah, earthquake patterns of 7. So,
Mm-hmm.
so this is the one that I think most of you have seen. And that occurred last February. So a year ago, that was the earthquake that happened over Turkey and Syria, parts of it, and but mostly Turkey. Um, but it formed the number 7, and that kind of got around the whole YouTube community. And the first quake, which is that larger red dot at the bottom, was 7.8 magnitude. And so, so here, go to the next one.
Hey, you know what? And just to pause you, Carla, I can see that the chats, everybody's having a fun time with the child of God. And you know what? As everybody comes in, you should just say, hello, child of God. You should just greet everybody saying, hello, B, you're a child of God. Just tell everybody they're a child of God. This is a wonderful thing. And Carla, you are a child of God as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
And you know that, but it's good to just say it.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead with this presentation here.
So then last night with your live stream, which I didn't even know, is you had mentioned that the New Madrid, I guess, seismic zone looked like a number 7. So it was pretty late here, and I said I was going to check into it the next day. So I have it highlighted with the circle. And sure enough, it looks like a number 7 when you zoom into it. It doesn't look that great. Oh no, I have it on the next slide.
Oh, the next one. And doesn't this picture look like a giant whale to you?
Yeah, it does, and it looks like Noah's Ark as well too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
nice presentation. You did.
Yeah, a blue whale, in fact. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, so I zoomed in to the new Madrid one, which is on the right, and then the Turkey one that occurred last year is on the left. And sure enough, they don't look identical, but they both look like number sevens, you know.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty incredible. So that's all I was looking at this morning. And then here, can you go to the next slide?
You got it.
So then I wanted to see um, when those earthquakes occurred that formed the number seven, and the majority of them are between 1811 and 1990, with the lower left portion being the 1811 earthquake, which was the greatest one that occurred at that time. And I think you said that the population wasn't that great there, so it wasn't really, it just affected a few people within a region. But if that happened now, that would be along anywhere in that new Madrid seismic zone would be of disastrous results, because you got Memphis at the lower portion of that zone that's in the eclipse, I mean, in the oval, and then over to the right you have Nashville, and just above that you have Chicago. So there's a lot of big cities around that area because it's grown obviously since 1811. And the last one in that region was kind of in the upper left, which was at 1990. No, within the oval.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
It's near Cape. I can't see that
Right
group.
here. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that just made me curious. And for some reason, when you were doing your stellarium last night, the Lord just uh, showed me something. I go, oh my goodness, the constellation of Pisces seems to form in the number, at least a backwards number seven. And yeah, so it's like, you were showing the tares and the wheat, one going straight up. Yeah, if you rotate it upwards, yeah, the tares pointing straight up, and then the wheat bowing down towards Pegasus, So. But anyways, so next one. So then I actually went to the April 8th total solar eclipse, and this is from Carbondale, Illinois, so really close to Little Egypt, Illinois. And so I have the pointer right on the band of the fish, the one that's bowing down, at the location of the greatest eclipse, and that's pretty much at 2 p.m. on that date. I think Central Daylight Time.
Yeah.
I think we switched from standard to daylight the end of March, so it'll be Central Daylight Time.
And I think it's worth noting because the ninth hour, according to the Bible, is roughly mid afternoon. So like around 3 o'clock p.m. would be the ninth hour. And there was a lot of things in the Bible on the ninth hour that happened. I think it was known as the time of prayer.
Yeah.
If you, I mean, this would be worth a study. I haven't actually formally studied this all out, but I'm pretty sure it was the ninth hour, it was the time of prayer. But the ninth hour was when Jesus gave up the ghost. He gave up the Holy Spirit. And so you've shown this great eclipse happening essentially at the ninth hour, because the first hour is around 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So the sixth hour is another way to say noon, and the ninth hour
noon.
Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's really interesting that this eclipse is in incredible alignment at the ninth hour of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much right on that band and even right on the line, so so I thought that was pretty cool. And then go to the next one. So I said I wanted to make it look like a number seven.
Okay.
I created a mirror image. And in fact, that's what I did with the triangle constellation in my last video. And then I inserted the location of the eclipse on that band, so you can see
Yeah.
where that is, so
I like that because God's angle, he's gonna be looking at it from the opposite angle, isn't he?
yeah,
So
that's actually true. So I actually showed in earlier videos um, that all of the constellations, the way that we see it, if it's actually a mirror image of what is seen in heaven as opposed to earth. So, so that's from God's perspective, you know.
yeah, yeah. Good eye, good thought, Carla.
But I thought that was so. Then that made me think with uh, those earthquakes that form a number seven. What would it look like if, with that eclipse on it during its maximum or greatest time, what would it look like with that Turkey number seven earthquake if I superimposed it?
Right. I get what you're doing here. I get it. Yeah.
So you can see, yeah, right there on the right. Hopefully, I made it transparent enough that you can see
Yeah,
the.
I totally understand the concept. Yeah, so you're superimposing the area where all the earthquakes happened in Turkey, and you're kind of matching it to the shape of Pisces.
Yeah, and what's even more cool within that yellow oval, you see just slightly to the right of the red dot, the large red dot, that's again uh, the greatest time, I mean, the greatest eclipse at that 2 o'clock time. But then the red dot on the number seven is the first quake, the initial quake that occurred in Turkey, and that was the 7.8 magnitude earthquake. And you can see, I mean, if I had kind of played around with the seven overlap or superimposing a little bit better, I mean, they're essentially side by side.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, really, actually, you could have bumped it over and made
Yeah.
it perfect. You actually could have. Yep, you're right. Yeah,
So
if you
I,
just bumped it over an inch to the right, it
yeah, but I
actually would
wanted
have.
everybody to kind of see the two.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I think what's the odds of that? It's it could have been, so the upper one I think was the same day, but that was the second quake, and then the rest around it are aftershocks. But that larger red dot is the first initial quake that occurred in Turkey. So I'm like, what's the odds of the solar eclipse? Basically, they would be, I think, superimposed right on top of each other.
And what I'll do now is we'll do a quick little pause on your thing because I've got this other, because I was looking up some things too. And here's another visual of Turkey. So you can see that. And so here's just a more brighter visual of what the shape looked like. And you can see the seven there.
Yeah,
And so Carla's highlighting the point 6 and 7 here, where that sun and the moon would have conjuncted in Pisces from the reverse angle. And here is the seven churches uh, are are represented in Turkey. So if you guys are familiar with the seven churches in the Book of Revelation, chapter 2 and 3, you've got Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. So could this earthquake that happened last year have been a warning to the churches as well? But I don't want to derail from your slideshow, but it was just the right time to go and show that. So
oh no, actually, so I had did that before, that if you mirror the constellation of the Pleiades and superimpose it over that very same map of the seven churches, it says in Revelation 1 that the seven churches are the seven stars, that it actually lines up with that as well. And I have that at the very end
oh,
of
of the
the.
slideshow.
Yeah,
Oh, perfect.
but it's just a backup. But I had it superimposed on the seven churches. So
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, so I'll show that later too.
Oh, perfect.
But I had it as a backup, but it's on there. And then the next slide, let me see what that is. So then this is the same, superimposing that same Pisces with where the location of uh, the greatest eclipse. But now this particular New Madrid seismic zone has the dates associated with that New Madrid or New Madrid. We say Madrid here in New Mexico.
I think it's Madrid. I don't know. Everybody wants to correct me, and I'm probably never gonna get it right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard Madrid and then Madrid. So
Maybe we should
we
maybe
have
we
a
just give it a nickname so nobody gets upset with us. Madsky, New Madsky. I don't know.
But you can see in the low, about the middle, low towards the bottom, that's where the great earthquakes occurred in 1811.
Hmm.
And the location of this Pisces and greatest eclipse is just a little bit north of that region of where the greatest earthquake occurred back in 1811. And just above that oval is the next greatest earthquake that occurred in the New Madrid zone in 1812. So, I mean, it's just pretty much smack dab.
Oh, so 1812 is where it's connecting with the sun right now.
So it's just so right, but almost directly below it was the greatest one in 1811,
Yeah.
and then just a little bit above that oval, and
Oh,
where
right here. Yeah, right here.
yeah, so that's
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
1812, and this solar eclipse with the Pisces constellation is like right smack dab in the two worst eclipse. I mean, not eclipse, earthquakes that occurred on the New Madrid zone.
Hmm.
So I think we're kind of in trouble. So let me close my door. My dog's quite the
Yeah,
bark.
that's right. Yeah, while you're doing that, I see Brother Victor on there. Hey, brother, I got to get you on live too. Brother Victor's made some really cool videos recently on this stuff too. So, Brother Victor 726, he's a good man. Um,
Oh my goodness, my dog's quite the barker. So hopefully she doesn't get too bad. But
say hi to your dog for me.
well, the neighbors are moving, so she's just been up in a uproar all day long. But hopefully it's not too bad. And now she wants in the room. But anyways, yeah, go to the next slide. So then I removed the Pisces, but I left that oval on there and I rotated it. And that's so that big red dot in the center of that eclipse, I mean, of that oval is actually where the eclipse was. And that was where an earthquake occurred. Uh, I don't know what year that was, but that's exactly where it's over. So I mean, I know the ones that it shows the 1811, 1812, and then the 1855 to the
Hmm.
right of it.
Hmm.
But the big red dot is actually on that number seven uh, New Madrid seismic zone. But I didn't draw that, but that's exactly the exact same spot of where the greatest eclipse is that's coming up on the Pisces band.
Right, right. If you overlay it, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, so I kind of think that might be the judgment point. I'll say ground zero for the for what I think might be what this eclipse is alluding to. So hopefully that makes sense. So I so what I'm saying is I think that's where ground zero might be in terms of judgment, and I think that's what this upcoming eclipse and where the greatest eclipse is located. I think that might be, and that's why I contacted you. I think that might be what it was showing. So,
I'm just looking at these lines too here, and this almost looks like an olive head, like an ox head right here too,
oh
almost.
yeah,
If you look at this whole structure as well, you look at the oval as like the head, and then the two lines above it would be like the horns, and
oh
then
yeah,
it would be the face there. You can really see that kind of a shape there, couldn't you?
yeah, exactly.
That's
So,
kind of
I
neat.
mean, so I hope everybody understands that. I can't see the comments, but um, so I think that might be a problem. Oh, here, go back a little bit. So I have on that bottom part that it's occurring due north of Memphis, Tennessee,
Hmm.
um, about due east of Jonesboro, Arkansas, and just west of the Mississippi River, which seems to be what this eclipse is pointing to as being ground zero. So hopefully not, because that would be a bad day in the United States. So, but that might be the judgment. So, you know.
Yeah, man. Okay.
So and like you said yesterday, and I said earlier, it's a lot more highly populated now in the central part of the United States, um, where the greatest, I think, density of the United States population resides now.
Yeah. Now I had that map up. It's totally gone now. But if I open up my Google Maps, um, I think if I'm just using my memory, I think the thing is like right around here, right around like the average population per square kilometer is like but basically really close to Little Egypt. I think it's in the Kansas area.
Yeah, and so
Be
that greatest area is right about where the boot heel is in Missouri. Well, that's what we call it. I don't know if you can see my mouse,
right,
but
right in here. Oh, do
uh,
you want me to go back to your screen?
let me see. Yeah, go back a little bit. So the boot heel is right
Like
uh,
right
near
here.
Jonesboro. No, a little bit south of there. So
Okay.
they call it the boot heel.
Oh, he down there,
Yeah,
down
yeah,
there. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is gonna devastate. If this really happens and something catastrophic happens, this is gonna just
yeah.
devastate the
And
country.
so I'm actually concerned about that. So
Yeah.
and then yeah, so then we could go to the next slide now. And so that's right there where that boot heel is where
Okay.
that like target symbol is, and that's not very far from the 1811 Madrid initial earthquake. That was their initial one. That was what they guesstimated a 7.2 to 8.2 earthquake, and then it was followed by a 7.4 magnitude aftershock on the same day. And so, yeah, I think if we had like a high 7 to a low 8 magnitude earthquake in the same area, um, like it's all around St. Louis and Nashville and
Hmm.
the greatest density of the United States. So I kind of think, in my opinion, that's what this eclipse is alluding to. So with the greatest solar eclipse point on that band of the bent bowing Pisces fish. So yeah, so then let's see the next slide. So then I wanted to see, was there a solar eclipse? Because this is for the Gentile nations, a solar eclipse that occurred prior to this 1811 earthquake. So this was the one that went across the United States more so, and it could be sitting over all of the United States and Canada, and that occurred on September 17th, 1811, and I believe that earthquake occurred 3 months later on December 17th-ish. I actually have the time duration between them. So yeah, go to the next slide. So yeah, so that's the time period from that annular solar eclipse that occurred on September 17th, 1881. And then December 16th is when that 1811 greatest earthquake occurred at the New Madrid seismic zone that's been recorded. And so it was a duration of 90 days.
Mm.
So, yeah. So, anyways, yeah, so next slide. So then I said, let's take a look at, was there an earthquake? I mean, was there an eclipse prior, closest to the time period prior to the one that happened over Turkey, which was on February 6th of last year. So, yeah, go up one more, Aaron. So because it's over Israel and the Middle East, I looked at solar eclipse, but it was a little bit earlier. But then I looked at, the total lunar eclipse that occurred prior to that earthquake over Turkey, and that was that November 8th eclipse that everybody saw with the Uranus blood moon conjunction back in 2022. And I think Mike Repo Man 64 had a clip of that with the blood moon occurring, and then the moon conjuncted Uranus and hid it for an hour, and then it came out on the other side. And at that point, the lunar eclipse had finished, and it was back to the white moon, so that was so I was like, man, that's pretty interesting. So it started off as a total blood moon when Uranus went right behind it, and then it looked like he used the term washed away the blood moon and became white as Uranus exited on the opposite side of the total lunar eclipse when it was finished. So, and so next one.
Mm-hmm.
So then I wanted to see the time period between that total lunar eclipse back on November 8th, and I think we could see it here, and then the earthquake in Turkey on February 6th, and it was also a 90-day difference.
Okay.
Which
So,
was really
to recap, what you're saying here is there was a 90-day gap between the two big earthquakes back in 1811, and then there was a 90-day gap between the lunar eclipse and the Turkey earthquake. Is that right?
So there was a 90-day gap between the solar eclipse prior to the 1811 earthquake, and then there's a 90-day gap between the lunar eclipse and the Turkey earthquake.
Wow. Yeah.
So I go, what's the odds again of them both being 90 days and they're over like 200 years apart?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, over 200 years apart. I was like, wow, I think that's a sign for sure, a mega sign, actually. So, and then go to the next one. Let me see what I have now. Oh, so that's it. And then if you scroll down a couple of more, yeah, I just looked at so there's that triangulum constellation that I superimposed over the three pathways of the solar eclipses over the United States, and it fits very well. And then one more down.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the one, the mirror image of the Pleiades. So on the left is how we see it in the night sky. And if you create a mirror image of the Pleiades, the mirror image one on the right, and then look at the comparison of that with the seven churches of Revelation, you see it's a one-to-one
Yeah.
correspondence. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. I see what you're saying.
so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's what I just essentially did with the Pisces, mirrored it to be look like a number seven, and then superimposed it over the two earthquakes. So over the one that just transpired in Turkey last year, and then the earthquakes from the New Madrid zone, from the early 1800s, going forward. So I think it might be alluding to a very ominous judgment that's coming on the United States. Now, can I say that with a surety? No, but it sure looks like it because um, I think the odds of the initial earthquake in Turkey and uh, uh, the position of the greatest point of the eclipse are just basically right on top of each other in ground zero. So I don't think there's no coincidence with that. So, but anyways, I think that's all I have. So
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and here's again a picture that everybody's very familiar with now that you've got at the end of your slide there.
yeah,
The X that marks the spot in this Madrid fault line is right basically on this conjunction or slightly below it. And what's really actually in it.
yeah,
And,
right.
and as many of you guys know, I've done a lot of videos. There's lots of Ninevehs in this path. There's a theme of Ruth and Boaz in these paths. There's the Noah theme. There's the Egypt theme. There's little Egypt. There's so many themes, biblical themes within this path. Yesterday I did a live stream showing. I didn't do a great job, but I showed how this really goes through lots of massive crosses. The 2024 eclipse.
Yeah,
One thing I wanted to add to this, and because I knew that we were going to get into this, is here. I'll turn off my screen just for a second, and I'll come back and I'll do this. So one really cool. Okay, so let me back up. In 2020, that's when I was like, okay, March 2020, Trump closed the airlines. I'm like, whoa! It was like God hit me on the back of my head with a 2x4. I said, okay, it's time. Wake up, kid. I'm like, whoa,
yeah,
okay. I was just minding my own business. I was watching a good old hockey game on TV. You know, I'm Canadian, eh? Let's go, bud. Let's go. That's why I say go, Jesus, go all the time, okay? But
yep,
anyway, cheer on Jesus. But and then all of a sudden Trump closes down the airlines. Like, what's going on here? It's the end of the world. I got to figure this out. So I read my Bible as fast as I could, and I read it like I don't know 6 months or 8 months, something like that, really fast. But I was watching. I started off with like, okay, I was watching rapture videos. I mean, I was watching dream videos, dream rapture videos, and I'm like, okay, I don't even know what I believe, but I got to start somewhere here. So I started with the dreamers. And so I have a special place in my heart for the dreamers. I never had any rapture dreams, probably never will. But that's where I started. But since after I got past that, always watching rapture dreams, then I went into content of learning, like this kind of stuff. And but anyway, here's the point of what I'm saying. I was like, I wonder if other people have had New Madrid dreams. And so I was looking at things this afternoon, and there's this one channel that now I'll go back and show you. I'll hide this. And there's this one channel here. I don't know what this guy believes about anything, but his channel's called Last Days. But this video in particular, he says, the Lord gave me a dream about a massive 10.0 earthquake splitting the USA in half on the New Madrid. And it's a 6-minute video, and it's really to the point that, he believes that the land is going to massively split from left to right. And here's the thing. I went into the comments section, and I was just reading it all, and there are so many people that had the same kind of dream. And I'm like, my goodness. Okay, so what are the odds of all these people having the same kind of dream? Like, some people were really like, let's see here. I'll read this one. I'm just seeing your video. The Lord spoke to me last year, 2023, and said that the earthquake will come splitting the east from the west. People will not be able to move about, and some areas will be left in dark. This person says, while in prayer a couple of days ago, the Lord told me that a devastating earthquake will happen in the New Madrid fault zone. This person refers about John Kilpatrick. I guess I checked out this video too. I got this guy, I don't know, he made a video like 10, 15 years ago saying he was prophesying that New Madrid was going to have a massive earthquake one day. And so I just spent maybe 2 hours reading this guy's comment section, and there are tons of people that came out of the woodwork expressing their dreams about the New Madrid fault line, having a massive earthquake. And I remember one of these people saying that they had a dream that it was going to, the U.S. was going to break from Chicago to New Orleans. It's going to break all along the Mississippi River. So, like, if that's true, if that was to happen, well, here's Chicago right here, and here is New Orleans right here, and the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River essentially separates the West and the East, really. The Mississippi River separates like 10 states, something like that. Like, it separates Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, Missouri, a little bit of Kentucky, Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota even, I think. So the Mississippi River is a massive divider. And the other thing, too, that I read, I think it was over here on this website, that this area, let's see if it said that. I'm going to read this last paragraph. The effects of the quakes were extensive. So they're talking about the earthquakes in the 1800s. And so it says the effects of the quakes were extensive and dramatic. Land deformation and elevation changes, both uplift and subsidence, created major land features such as the St. Francis Sucklands in northeast Arkansas, Roefoot Lake in western Tennessee, and temporary waterfalls on the Mississippi River. Vast tracts of land were flooded. The most severely affected area is estimated at between 78,000 and 129,000 square kilometers. Large regions of fertile land were made unfit for farming for many years. Afterward, by landslides and sand blows and fissures and flooding, thousands of sand blows are still visible today. On the Mississippi River, miles of high river embankments collapsed. So this wasn't a joke in the 1800s. It just wasn't as historically noted because there wasn't hardly anybody that lived in that area. But if the same exact thing, kind of earthquake, was to happen again, it would be completely devastating. But these people that I just showed you are having very consistent dreams that they kind of, some people are like coming out of the woodwork. Like this person, for example, wow, first time seeing your channel. I had an identical dream about a year ago. I felt I was somewhere in the U.S. I live in Canada, and it was completely desolate. And she talks about the same kind of thing. And essentially, a lot of people have had dreams that the land completely broke and shifted, and the West and East were completely separated. I even watched another video 2 weeks ago of a prophecy teacher. I don't know what the guy's name was. Same kind of thing. He had this dream that Chicago was just rocked, and tsunamis and all this kind of stuff. So you know, it's a pretty interesting thing we got coming around the corner, isn't it? So,
Yes, indeed.
So I wanted to add a few more slides, not many more to add on to the time too much, and then we'll go back to the end of Aaron and I's discussion. So the time period from eclipse to earthquake. So for the 1118 New Madrid earthquake, it was 90 days, and for the Turkey earthquake, with the eclipse prior to that, that was also a 90-day gap. However, there was no discussion of a two-state solution, but with the patterns of splitting the land of Israel, the U.S. puts greater pressure on Israel to divide the land. There is a corresponding greater catastrophe that hits the U.S. Most notably was in 2001 when President Bush Jr. was working on a 17-day deal with Crown Prince Abdullah. And I'll let you read this so it doesn't get flagged. So it was the towers that came down. Then there was also Hurricane Katrina. And then when Vice President Biden at the time was putting pressure on Israel, the Abraham Accord deal with Saudi Arabia, we were hit with both hurricanes, Hillary and Ian. And then recently, with President Biden at the UN General Assembly, he pressured Prime Minister Lapid to talk about the two-state solution. So Hurricane Fiona was headed towards the coast of the U.S., but when Trudeau of Canada complimented Lapid about saying it was necessary to achieve a two-state solution, Fiona then made a turn towards Canada and hit the eastern coast of Canada. But God is warning the United States of America. So what is the projected outcome if this occurs with the New Madrid earthquake? So they have predicted that if the New Madrid zone goes off, that also it would trigger the seismic zone of the Wabash Valley. Sorry if I mispronounced that. So this is all along the Mississippi River. And here's the projected image of what the U.S. would look like if it was divided along the Mississippi River. And they actually state that the Mississippi River would change its flow direction towards the north. So I'll go back to Aaron and I's discussion.
yeah, a lot of things to say. Now, do you guys have any questions or anything that you want to bring to our attention? I can look at the comment section, and if you have any questions for Carla, or if there is any screens that you want us to show again, please let us know.
Yeah, I actually took it. I think it's a very serious, ominous sign. So that's why I reached out to you. I don't take this very lightly at all. So of all the things I've seen with your amazing videos and all the cities that are alluding, with the seven Ninevehs and Jonah and the Ark, and I mean the crosses, and then this. I think that I don't see how you can't see this as a sign, and most of us don't know what the judgment is. I think there's actually additional judgments, but I think this is actually a huge indicator of what might indeed transpire at the New Madrid zone. So,
well, I mean, what's the strongest way to send a signal if you're God? I mean, eclipses are a big deal, and to add to that, solar eclipses, total solar eclipses are a big deal.
yeah.
So, the fact that it goes over the U.S. well 3 times, but specifically those two, and it centers on Little Egypt. It's a big deal, and it's not that often that total eclipses even cross paths within 300 years. I think it's very rare for them to really cross paths.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked into any of that? How often they cross?
I saw one that before the 2017, there was one that was 99 years earlier that went across the United States. I'm not sure if it was even on this same date, August 21st, but I haven't seen. I've seen just that one go across the middle of the United States, but not anything, like you said, that's crisscrossed, let alone 3 of them. There might have been 2 different paths that maybe went towards the north and the south part of the states, but not ever crisscrossing. And and then have a third one come up with the annular solar eclipse to form the olive. So, and then that's another thing too is, they could have crisscrossed across the United States, but they look like an olive and a tav. They don't look like any other, it could have looked like, I don't know, it could have been offset a little bit differently where it didn't even look like a letter A or the tav. So, I mean, I think it's just remarkable. And then you have your, what do you call it? The rose, the flower blossom.
The flower bouquet.
Oh, flower bouquet. Yeah, I mean, okay, what's the odds of all of that being centralized along the top, it's just highly, the density in that one area around Little Egypt is just phenomenal. You know,
It's kind of got to a point where it's like, yeah, if you think the name is there, it's probably there. Like all these biblical names.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it could have been all over the place, but it's not, so.
So here's the next thing that we got to look out for. I think this is my personal opinion. I'm just very curious to how U.S. responds to the two-state solution with Israel and Palestine, and I think any decision that the U.S. throws towards Israel, it will probably end up being some sort of a catastrophe. Oh yeah, here's another thing I wanted to share. Who emailed me? It was. Was it Brad? Yeah, it was Brad. Okay, so let me see here. Brad said, "Hey, you got to remind them about Hurricane Harvey." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Thanks." So so show that and do this, and so Hurricane Harvey came in August 2017. So right around this eclipse, right around this 2017 eclipse, the eclipse in 2017 was August 21st. Hurricane Harvey came. So Hurricane Harvey, according to Wikipedia, formed on August 17th, and it was an extratropical September 1st, 2017, and dissipated September 2nd. So right around that eclipse, there was Hurricane Harvey. So there's your pattern. So it wouldn't be uncommon to have some sort of a catastrophic event in a different form on April 8th or in and around that time. Yeah. And of course, everybody knows that this was a bad one. According to Wikipedia, inflicting $125 billion in damage, and it says about 100 deaths on Wikipedia there. So it's another thing worth mentioning and bringing up. Thanks, Brad, for bringing that up.
Yeah, so there was also, when I believe it was Bush Sr. or Jr., he was strongly trying to do the two-state solution, and then Hurricane Katrina came. Mm-hmm. And then I forget the president who was really trying, I think that was Clinton. So he was pushing very hard and heavy for the two-state solution, and that's when Hurricane Sandy hit the eastern seaboard. So, and those were both massive hurricanes, you know.
So yeah, so exactly. Every time the states does something towards that, there's always something catastrophic happening in the states. So there's one person that commented on one of my videos and said on Monday they're going to be trying to push a two-state solution this coming Monday.
Yeah.
But geez, I don't even know. I haven't looked into it. I just saw the comment. So if anybody has a report on that and how this specifically how the states is interacting with Israel, that's my interest. And I watched this other video, and the gentleman was saying that Biden gave him to the end of this year to come to some sort of an agreement. But again, this is all speculation right now. I'm not heavily studied on this, but I think it's an important topic. Now that we know that there's always some form of natural disaster on USA when they kind of come against Israel, really curious to see if they do it again this year, this week, this month.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a good possibility. So, and even back to the Carter administration, there was stuff that came on the United States when they first did the Camp David Accords, trying to do this two-state solution. So, I mean, I know that was a while ago, probably prior to your time, but that was the first time that Jimmy Carter went over there and talked with Egypt and Anwar Sadat and all those guys, and they were really pushing it hard. And there was a disaster. I forget which one. I think it was Hurricane, possibly Andrew, that hit Florida. That was massive. That was a hurricane, a category 4 or 5. And so I mean, there was been a disaster, and they're mostly hurricane related, you know. So we'll see, you know.
Yeah, and I saw a comment there. The cicadas infestation, that'll be a big deal.
Oh, cicadas, yeah. We have them here, so yeah, they're quite loud, like you said. So.
And of course, this eclipse, it looks like an anarchy symbol too, you know. So there's that.
Yeah, and I also thought, I think you mentioned this, or someone else mentioned that the letter A, and that was in the Scarlet Letter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was in that book where she was an adulterous woman.
Mm-hmm.
That Jesus said that the only sign that an adulterous generation will get is the sign of Jonah.
Ah, yes, yes. A wicked and adulterous generation. Might as well quote that while we have this A.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
Either Matthew 16 or 13 or something. One of those.
Yeah, it was paraphrased, so.
Yeah. Okay. So it is in 16, but then I think he says it also in 13. Yeah. Okay. So the funny thing is, he says it in Matthew chapter 12 and Matthew 16, the sign of Jonah, twice. Now, of course, we know that it's talking really about his death and resurrection, but sometimes prophecy can be twofold or to have a dual meaning to it. But the adulterous word here is in Matthew 12, verse 39. But he answered and said to them, an evil and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and no sign will be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. Yeah. So there you go with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think we're in trouble. Unfortunately.
But the good news, Carla, is you're a child of God.
That's right.
That's all.
Right.
And I'm a child of God. That's it.
Thank goodness for that.
And I pray that everybody on this chat is saved and a child of God. I gave you my salvation spiel at the beginning. Antonio, you're a child of God. That's it. That's all. Rain Cry 527, you're a child of God. That's it. That's all. You can't be hiding in the corner, putting your tail between your legs and being worried about something coming around the corner. No, come on with confidence. Jose, you're a child of God. That's it. That's all. That's right. Janet, You're a child of God. That's it. Oh, Carla, you take a turn. Tell somebody they're a child of God. Can you see the comments or what?
No, I can't see him.
Oh, there's a little chat there in the chat box in the side corner there, but maybe you can't. The top right, if you're on a laptop. You guys are all child of God. If you're saved, you're all child of God. Don't be walking around and
That's
feeling
it.
all condemned
That's
and
all.
that's it. That's all.
Right.
Tell Deanna she's a child of God, Carla.
Child, Tiana, you're a child of God. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Carla, thank you so much for coming on the channel. I
Thank
left
you for having me.
Carla's link in my description box. I made it easy. I just put her at the very bottom. So you just got to go down the bottom of the description box, and you'll find a link to her channel. And of course, it's written on the screen. And how do you pronounce your channel again?
Ecru Symphony.
Yeah, Echo Symphony, and she does some fun slide presentations, really informative stuff. And you could tell she's got a good spirit about her, right? You could tell she's a kind person. I
Yeah,
like that.
thank you for having me, and